think we're good to go.
We're live.
Everyone ready?
We're on.
Yeah.
We're in. We're on.
Okay. I'm just going to sync us up with a little clap and then we're going to be good to go, alright? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Arcade Dwellers. Hello everyone. Welcome back to Full Circle. I believe episode 11. We're motoring through. Yeah. I'm happy we hit the double digits and I'm even more happy to say that the wonderful Chime joins us today.
Hello.
How's it going, brother?
I'm good.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the set.
I know, yeah, it's well snazzy in here.
You've journeyed down from Leeds, made the big journey down, so we appreciate you coming on.
No problem.
How was it travelling down?
Totally fine.
Yeah.
Train.
Standard.
Like at this point, trains are just like easy mode. Travel.
Can you like zone in and work whilst you're on a train?
Yeah, but usually I just kind of like zone out.
Zone out.
Yeah. Yeah, what was that? Well, I was just like I was actually just listening through loads of NCS stuff on the way.
That's what
down,
you normally listen to, though, right? Just
like
all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just making yourself educated, as we all do on a daily basis. Constantly listen to NCS music.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. How did it all start? Take it right back to the beginning before you even got into the music thing, before you started on the label work, which we'll speak about later, on all the releases, the tours that you've had, etc. How did the Chime project first begin?
So, I mean, how far back do you want to go?
Take me right back to the start.
Way
Where did the
back.
intro
Okay, I had a hand-me-down crap MacBook Pro, and I was going through the applications, and I opened GarageBand. Like, honestly, yeah, I had no real musical history. Like, I didn't even like music necessarily. Well, I didn't think so, but I was actually like way into video game music.
Okay, cool.
I didn't class it as real music or whatever. So, yeah, open GarageBand, started messing around with loops and stuff, and I was like making bits of videos and things.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Everyone was always like, "Oh, you should make your own music for your videos." I was like, "Yeah, okay." Yeah, and then kind of got out of hand from there, really.
Where's the moment where we have this a lot? I think in a lot of cases, especially as like producer artist, you're on the computer all the time, right? It's not necessarily. I mean, obviously people do play and stuff, but you can do it on the computer. We see cases of artists just happen to fall into this world and realize it's something that they love. Where was it along that journey where you like, okay, this dubstep sound, this way that I'm taking an artist project? Where did all of that form from?
Well, initially, I had a project with my cousin called Caution and Crisis.
Very cool.
Kind of going off like the Chase and Status. A lot of drum and bass people were doing that sort of thing at that time. But yeah, we just started making drum and bass and stuff, and started being more like serious. Because before that, we would just mess around on GarageBand and literally having no clue what we were doing, to the point where like I knew what a riser was, but I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know how to make one. So you'd just end up with me going, like recording that in and actually just, making my tracks out of stupid beatboxing and stuff.
That's so good though.
So yeah, Caution and Crisis was when we got like serious. And then like the first kind of big sort of explosion thing from that was like, we did a couple of Minecraft remixes, and they got really big. And then like they got used in like, I think when Minecraft came to PS3 and Xbox 360, they used our remixes in the adverts.
No way.
Whoa.
So was it a remix of like C74 or whatever they're called, the like jukebox
C418, yeah.
That's it, C418.
Yeah, so we did
oh my God.
Sweden, like a drum bass remix of Sweden, and Cat from
Oh.
I still really like the Cat one.
That's
actually.
classic.
I could like remake that. It'd be
I can hear those songs in my head. You just walking around punching a tree. That's so great. Oh man, so that's where it really took off for both of you though.
Yeah. I mean, from there, like I was also doing like DJ tutorials.
Okay.
On YouTube, and it was back when you had annotations.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't really very good at editing videos or anything, I would just kind of film me doing a mix or something, and then I would explain everything through the YouTube annotations. So those tutorials are completely broken now because they don't exist anymore. So it's just like a guy doing a mix saying it's a tutorial. But I think I did like a dubstep for beginners tutorial and then got like 750,000 views or something.
This is back in the day, like early YouTube.
Yeah. And I barely knew what I was doing anyway. Like,
God.
but yeah. So those were like the first kind of like, oh, geez, you can do stuff with this sort of moments. Yeah, and then I went to like uni for music production, which we discussed earlier was fairly pointless. But yeah, it just kind of went from there. And really before that, like my passions were, because I would just really focus in on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And so it was like video games, and then it was like trampolining.
What?
Yeah, because we got a trampoline, and I was just like, well, this is my new thing now. And then I just got really good at that and started doing like parkour and stuff. There's videos online. I think if you put in the trampoline tricksters into YouTube, there's like a video we submitted for like a talent competition in school of all of us, me and like a bunch of other guys just doing trampolining and parkour and
Did you put your own music on it? Like, did you mix those two worlds?
I wasn't making music at that point.
Oh, you weren't? Okay, right.
A different type of bounce.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, and then it was like drama, and then I wanted to be like an actor, but then like the audition process was like horrible.
Yeah.
And from my like glimmers of experience of auditioning, I was just like, yeah, that
Not the one.
doesn't sound good to me.
I feel like there's something to be said for and I think it happens with most people that are creatives. Like, it's that 110% effort into something that hooks you. It's like, right, trampolining, that is what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Acting, that is what I'm doing now. And eventually one of them, as it has with music and like say going hand in hand with the game and stuff, just tends to fall into place. But there's definitely something about that type of brain, like the sort of almost addiction to that craft. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. It was addiction. And yeah, it still is basically. Like, music's just the one that stuck because it just worked with everything. And you know, I've always kind of been into performing, but DJing is just the perfect form of it for me.
Okay, yeah.
Because like I did act and stuff, and like I did drama at like A level. I did like an entire like hour and a half long play. It was Metamorphosis by Kafka.
Is that when he turns into the
I was the guy who turned into a beetle.
Oh, the beetle, that's it, yeah.
And they made like a scaffolding setup, and I had to like beetle around.
Oh, gosh.
And so like that was like when I was like way into it, and that was hard because you've got to remember an entire hour and a half of a play.
Yeah, of course.
And all the words, dialogue, everything, and then like pick things up if it slipped off course.
Yeah, sure.
With other people and be a beetle. So I was just like, it's a bit much.
Do you think that from all those different interests and things that you have, which is a similar thing to when we spoke to Sam Day about what he's doing now, which he was saying he does like audio engineering for films, that kind of stuff. Do you think all those different inputs, whether it be in the acting, the drama performing, even the trampoline to some level, how much do you think that impacts your craft when it goes to starting a production on a song, or like you say, DJing and performing?
I think probably quite a lot. But yeah, a lot of my creative process has just been, if it's fun, I'm doing it, you know? So, and the thing is with like trampolining as well, that ended up being creative anyway. Cause like, I was never one of those, like, I've got to be perfect gymnastical, whatever. I was going, what's the most ridiculous thing I can make my body do on a trampoline? And then we'd give the tricks like names and stuff, and we'd come up with. So we did like this Jesus move,
right?
Where you do. I wasn't expecting to get onto this.
No, go with it.
You like jump, and then you do a backdrop.
Right.
So you flip over, do a backdrop.
Yeah. And
then as you're coming over again, you get into like this T pose.
Okay, yeah.
Ooh.
And then you tuck back over and do another backdrop. And
very impressive.
So like that's just one of.
I think whatever release comes next, there is an obvious promo campaign.
Yeah, music video.
Just that. Rather than the visualizer, it's just you like that. Yeah. That's great. And then to bring it more towards what you're working on now with the Chime project, when did that come from? Like I said, the love for dubstep. You said you're in GarageBand, you realised you could do these sounds yourself, started producing, and then fast forward into what you're doing now. Where was that transition of like, right, I'm going to go out on my own, I'm going to start this project called Chime? What was the story there?
Yeah, so off the back of like the drum and bass stuff, me and my cousin started getting into dubstep as well. It really was like 2011, 12, like that.
Yeah.
What I still call like the golden era of dubstep, like all the classics, like in those 2 years, I feel like. It was that and like Skrillex coming along and then like Xylent and Seven Lions.
Oh, yeah.
And they showed that you could do melodic focus dubstep really well, and it really worked. Because before that, it was kind of more about groove and sound design and stuff, and you know it still is. But those were the artists that got me to move over from drum and bass. And then from there, because I was like getting ready to go to uni and stuff, and I was going to be living away from my cousin, I started my own like solo project, and then basically that rebranded later on in 2015 became Chime, and yeah,
There we are.
just yeah.
Why the name Chime? Before we got on here,
Yeah.
I asked that question. Then you were like, "I've said this before," and I was like, "Save it for the podcast."
Yeah.
It's the classic pre-podcast thing. Save it for the podcast. Save it for the podcast.
Yeah, so I had kind of like a checklist because my old artist name was December
Okay.
with a 3.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a throwback.
With a 3 instead of the second E. Now, that explanation I've had to give you of how to spell the goddamn name is the reason why I changed from that name. Because there's 3 E's in December.
Yeah. Which E is the 3?
The second one.
Yeah, there we go.
Because it looks best.
It does. Yeah.
But it's the one, so everyone would get it wrong, and then they'd put it into Google, wouldn't find my stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever. Chime somehow wasn't taken by anyone in the music scene, like at all.
Yeah.
It was like,
And it's a nice name as well.
it's
Like
and
it's
it's
a word that
musical
exists.
sound
Yeah.
as well. And I was like, what the hell? Yeah. Well, phonetically, I just really like how it sounds.
Yeah.
But also, I wanted to choose a name that wasn't necessarily like tied to dubstep specifically. So I was open to basically do whatever I wanted to do for the rest of my life under the name. Yeah, so Chime sort of fit that. It's not something like Skrillex,
Of course. Yeah.
Excision, like these really guttural,
Very hard hitting.
yeah,
Cutting through. Yeah.
that fit perfectly for their sound. But I wanted to kind of go against that because I knew I was going to have a more sort of light, melodic take on things. Yeah, so yeah, and I felt Chime fit that.
Yeah, and I feel like you spoke about it before we came on about, and you just mentioned there, like the realizing that you can add a bit more of the melody to this sound, which whilst we all love it, and it's very that like visceral, hard hitting, super like it really intense. Is that and a chime is a melodic thing that you would hear, so that perfectly fits. I feel like that ties in a little bit as well to how your branding and aesthetic, all of that seems to work. What is it that you love about being able to add that sort of softer side, if you will, to a really intense sound?
Yeah, it's just kind of the best of both worlds for me because within bass music, if it's like all just melodically focused stuff and not much like sound design or like not that like aggression behind it, I can end up getting a bit bored of that. And at the same time, all the other completely the other side to like the super headbanger, like just max impact stuff, I kind of get bored of that as well. So this kind of realm in between those two, it is just beautiful to me. Like I really, really like being able to combine those two things.
Yeah, it's best of both
I
worlds.
do
right?
feel like I think there's a lot of artists that are realizing that, but I think that is something that like was really quite unique to you. For me, and my opinion was like, I know the Chime sound, you know what I mean? It's like it is those two elements. It's the heavier dubstep, but also highly melodic and a bit brighter sound, which I feel like really stands out. Like I remember, you know, like Phototropics, one of my favorite releases. Like actually, it's quite a heavy track.
Yeah.
I'll fast forward a little bit.
The build is a bit mental.
Yeah, like
Oh my god.
But there's that melody then.
it's just it's heavy, but it's also like light as well. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, really, at that point, it was just like, you know, if your like harmony is joyful, but the sounds that you're using are like gritty, that's all you really need. Sort of since then, I've learned a lot more how to like merge those even more completely, with just the different sound design techniques, and that's what really gave birth to like the color bass term, which is that more closely like merged.
Where did color bass come from? Is that something that you kind of came
Yeah,
up with, or is this a thing of the scene? Or
I just came up with it because I was thinking about dubstep as the name.
Yeah.
And it's so far beyond the actual like original meaning
yeah,
of dub and step. I guess step is still like half time. It's still two. Like it's something so completely different. So to me, like the term color bass,
that really does define it well.
Yeah.
you can immediately conjure up, okay, well, it's a bass music focused sort of subgenre with color. You know, you immediately think of
sounds,
like a lighter sound to it. So I think around like 2016, 17, I just started tagging my stuff as color bass on SoundCloud, and then other artists I knew sort of just started
Right.
going, yeah, actually that's a really good term. Let's start using that. And then as I started developing my label, Rushdown, that became the whole branding and idea behind it, was making this, basically keeping this middle ground alive. Because especially around 2017, it went really dark, like in terms of musically. Everything got really dark and stompy, and that was when like the headbanger movement really like reached a real peak at that point. And that's all well and good, but I was like, this melodic side of the scene is like getting smaller and smaller, and more artists are just leaving. I mean, like Siren Soul is an example of that. I think he just like completely left the scene around that point, and now he's back. And I'm very honored that like because he approached me about like doing a track on Rushdown, and he was like, "Oh yeah, part of the reason I'm back is because I'm really inspired by like a lot of the artists on Rushdown, and it feels like there's a space for this kind of music again." And I'm like,
sick.
that's exactly what I was going for.
You found a niche and put your entire brand around it, and then also thought, you know what? This doesn't have to just be my music. Actually, I can release other people's music. Like, how are you balancing being an artist and also running a label? Like, how does that work?
Barely.
Right.
Yeah, like, my job keeps expanding to all different kinds of jobs. Really, it's like, because now that I've built it up, it's a really good tool for artists to get into the scene. You know, like, back in 2017, it was just kind of like a bit of a fun project or whatever. But now we've had artists go on from the label to bigger labels, to bigger things, to touring with like Excision and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
and you spoke about it earlier before we hopped on the podcast, that the label, the Rushdown project, is completely not for the profit of it. It's for the, I guess in a sense, keeping that this scene that you and a handful of others have really pioneered, keeping that energy alive, and like you say, acting as that platform where if you want this sound, you come here. Why is it so important to you to have this platform where an artist that maybe doesn't quite know where their sound fits can attach to this and be like, this is the place, this is my home? Why is that so key?
I think because around that sort of 2017, 18 bit, I started actually touring in America, and I didn't realize just how little of like my favorite kind of sound still remained.
Yeah.
Like it was all just like wall to wall headbanger stuff, and then there was more of like the Wook kind of freeform bass coming in, and I was like really worried that I would go out of a career, like I just wouldn't, no one would book me because I'm on a past trend, you know.
Sure.
And that I wouldn't enjoy dubstep anymore. It was a legitimate thing. I had a bit of a meltdown. I think it was Lost Lands 2018, where I was just like, I don't feel accepted here. I don't feel like this is, I'm going to be able to maintain this for long enough. And I thought, you know, it was really going to go downhill. And that's nothing on like the Lost Lands guys. It was just the way things were going, and Lost Lands was a sort of purified, like, here you go, this is what the scene is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I kind of panicked really, and I was like, there's only so much I can do on my own by being an artist in this middle ground, without also kind of fostering support for the other artists that could be the next big thing. Yeah, and so that's when I really started like putting in serious work into Rushdown and just being really helpful, as helpful as I could with the contacts and stuff that I had, in order to push other people's music as well. Yeah, and that's it's ended up being way more fulfilling than even just working on my own project, is seeing artists like Ace Aura, who are now doing these amazing tours and getting these amazing releases on like Never Say Die and stuff. Skybreak was another artist I mentioned to you earlier. And now Sharks as well. Just a bunch of these artists that have kind of been in and around the Rushdown community who are now entering the wider community. Yeah, I feel incredibly privileged to have helped, been in a position to help these artists. And it's just like, yeah, it's you can do so much more by helping other people.
Yeah, of course. I think it's a big self gratification. It's not in a cocky way. If anything, it's in a humble way to be like, it's nice to be able to, even if it's the smallest little bit of input, help somebody along that journey. Like you say, see them grow past that. Yeah,
and it was really like, I didn't want to be on my own as well.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be the one guy who's like clinging onto this sound or trying to evolve it, while everybody else like moved either to the melodic side or the heavy side. So yeah, and it's worked. It's been amazing. Well, yeah, I mean, like past couple of years.
Props to you, because you've got the projects that have come off the back of it as well, and then like you say, it also helps tying in with just your own Chime project. It grows that world really. Speaking of Lost Lands, you touched on it just then.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of touring, a lot of live shows under your belt. We've mentioned quite a lot off camera, just chatting earlier about them. What's the touring experience been like for you? When was the first one? Can you remember any highlights? Just tell us a little bit about
the first
life.
tour.
Yeah.
First tour was in 2017, sort of like starting September 2017, and it was with Terra Vita and Riot, and I was like way down the billing. Like it was really it was just an opportunity to sort of get out there and actually have some show experience, and also gain some sort of reputation amongst like the promoters and stuff. So I think I barely made money off the first one, just because I was like trying to just get out there and like break even and stuff. But yeah, it was really good, because I was like hungry for playing shows, and really in the UK there's like nothing for dubstep. Europe, I played like a handful of shows in like Paris, and that was it. So yeah, it was really amazing to get to that point where I could play all these big venues and stuff and actually get the experience.
Where was the favorite place that you played
from the first tour?
Any tour?
Seattle is often a really good one.
It's insane, that is. I just wouldn't. Just the fact that I always say this, that your sound from your bedroom can translate to such a crowd in Seattle is mind-boggling.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, how was that show?
Yeah, all my Seattle shows have been like some of my favorites, I think, because yeah, I don't know. There's a big difference between, you know, playing to a large crowd that don't know your music, and playing to 200 people that really like your music.
Yeah.
and I would always take the latter, like always. And so, you know, so some of my favorite shows have been like I played in like Orlando to about 150 people, and it's just amazing because it was like perfect size venue for that amount of people, and just the energy was there.
Yeah, those small packed venues, especially when everyone knows the music, that's unmatched.
Just like a big party with your friends.
Even compared to like a festival, like when you, I mean, I've seen some of the videos on Instagram, like when you've got these huge crowds, like a Lost Lands, for example, which is brilliant, and it's you can't really compare those two experiences, I guess. But that really tightly packed venue of everyone knowing 90% of your songs, that's just different.
I think it's a UK favorite thing as well.
Yeah.
Because I think the UK scene is much more like dark hooded figures just kind of like shuffling and, you know.
That's Dan.
Yeah. Whereas America's more about like the spectacle and hands in the air and stuff. So, yeah, that might be just like a UK culture thing.
Yeah, probably.
But also when like people know your tunes and they're there for you, you've already got them on your side. So you can be free to play whatever the hell you want. And you can play a ton of your originals and people know them. So like some of my favorite moments DJing are when I like play a track of mine and I can hear people like singing along, and then I just bring the track out so I can hear it.
That must be an amazing
and then like slam it back in.
Yeah.
That's the best. That is the best.
Yeah.
Do you speaking of like tapping into that community and these kind of people that would know your songs, there's a lot of stuff that you do, whether it's with like your YouTube, Patreon, like all over your Instagram, just super active online and building the sort of world around Chime, not necessarily just putting music out. Why do you think it's so important to have those, not necessarily an extra revenue stream, but to be able to give something back to these people that like your music, as aside from just putting a song out?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, well, really, like during the pandemic, you know, before the pandemic hit, my main source of income was the shows.
Cool.
Which wasn't like hugely sustainable because you have to like spend a ton of money on like the flights and everything and figure it all out, and then you get paid like months later. So really I've always had like a kind of passion for teaching, and I think it's something I'm quite good at. So that's, you know, I started doing tuition on like Zoom and stuff. And then also I was doing like tutorials on Patreon, and it stems all the way back to like I was making DJ tutorials on YouTube like in 2011 or whatever. Yeah, I just there's something really satisfying about like explaining a concept and being helpful, you know. So that's really where that kind of side of things came from.
And that all ties back into like the label stuff as well, of being like, oh, let me just. It's nice to help somebody out. Do you have like a go-to, if you're on like a Zoom session with someone or you're doing like a tutorial, so recording a video, is there like go-to tips that you could give to any producers kicking it off?
Mostly it's about setting your expectations because like I started producing in like 2010, and you know, it becoming my job didn't happen until 2018, 19. So and there's a lot more that goes into it than just producing as well. There's so many like bits of admin and stuff behind the scenes that happen, and you know, lots of plate spinning and keeping everything going, which I'm not fantastic at. But like, yeah, sometimes I'll just go, oh God, I haven't worked on this part of my job for like ages, and I have to like catch up and stuff. But yeah, mostly I'm just like, production takes a long time to get good at, so try and produce all the time. Stuff like DJing, you can pick up in a week, like easy. Like it's a completely different skill set. Yeah. So often I'm like, be ready for the long term if you want to make this a career.
Yeah, I feel like I mean, it's the same with anything, isn't it? Like, you have to put in that work, and like you say, from 2010 to 2018 to seeing that complete full circle payoff at the end. I've got so many episodes in without saying full.
I know, yeah.
You keep saying it. Yeah.
Charlotte's here, by the way.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Oh, that was a good hello.
Really
Actually.
good hello.
Normally
Thank
more
you.
a bit like hello.
Yeah, we got quite a while in without me actually saying that you're here. Sorry, we couldn't hear you last week. That looked really.
How was last
angry.
week for you?
It was good.
Yeah.
It was just.
No one heard you.
Yeah.
You were there.
Lonely.
but-
Yeah, lonely in the
It was
in the
kind of
corner.
good that we didn't turn the mic on because I thought it was off, so I was messing with the mic the entire time. And then afterwards, we were like, "Is the mic on?"
Yeah.
We're
Oh,
not
if it had have
sure.
been on, it would have been a lot
It
of
would have
like
been a nightmare.
lot of muffling. Well, yeah, Charlotte is here,
Oh.
and go on, Dan.
I've got a question for Harvey, actually.
Sure.
Or Chime. I don't know whether we've made your name public and we shouldn't have. We'll cut it if
Dead
we need
named me.
Um,
That's fine.
yeah, we go way back, you know, it's one of those things.
Half.
Yeah, Harvey.
Yeah.
Hole.
Yeah.
Hole with Adam Tell. I'm just going to play like a short snippet of it.
I like that we're settling into roles, by the way. It's
Well,
quite
I'm
cool.
music
You always
guy,
got the
he's
music
the
bit.
DJ.
Yeah, DJ Lee.
Yeah.
DJ Lee. Yeah.
I've got to say, definitely in my top 10
Wow.
NCS songs, this one for sure.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
I think the production's amazing. I think Adam Tell, I listen to his stuff like relentlessly.
Yeah.
I love his stuff. But I was going to ask. I'll just play the drop. I just wanted to ask how that all came about because it's just one of my favorite songs. I just love that track.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess so that was released in 2016. Around that time, I think Adam Tell was managed by my manager, Han, and I don't know if he still is. I don't know.
Not sure.
But yeah, and I was just kind of like going through his roster of artists because he was like, "Do you want to work with anyone?" And so it was kind of like Fox Stevenson, Adam Tell, Rob Gasser as well, and a handful of other people. Yeah, and I just got way into Adam Tell's music, like ridiculously into it. My wife too. We would just any car journey it would be Adam Tell, like every time, and we know all the words, and I would be like harmonizing over the top. Like I got way into his stuff. And if you don't know Adam Tell, I guess I would describe him as sort of electronic pop. The way I would describe him is if an electronic pop artist was secretly into dubstep, but also had the voice of Michael Bublé.
but also,
I wonder if that
lyrics-wise,
comparison has ever been described to any other human.
I don't do lyrics. Like I'm not really into lyrics. But Adam Tell, I will listen to those lyrics like religiously. Like the metaphors that he says. Like he's got this. I think it's an album maybe called Foreground.
Yeah,
like
I love that one.
Oh my god, and his production's actually pretty good as well. But
Yeah.
What kind of music is his like electronic music as well, or is it more like just singing?
it is, but it's kind of poppy.
Okay.
It's
I guess synth pop would be. I don't know how he would describe it, but
I just felt that
That
the you two coming together was the perfect mesh of sound for Hole.
yeah. I mean that became like a dream collab of mine just from how into his music I got.
Right.
Yeah, like and also like I've kept up with his music since then as well, to the point where he has an entire like ambient piano album.
Yeah.
And I will always associate with moving to my place I actually just moved out of in Sheffield, because like I would just put that on and build IKEA furniture like all day.
I think it's great when songs can do that, and I always try and do it like if I go on a trip somewhere. I think I've mentioned this to you before. It's like putting on an album or like for me like a song that just when I hear that, then it takes me back to that moment.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
To do something like that.
It's like creating your own nostalgia.
Yeah,
as you go.
literally, Yeah,
It's
predicting
cool.
it.
Sorry, I was going to say we also had the Rob Gasser remix of that,
Mm-hmm.
which was huge. And you were saying before that there's lots of like videos and like memes that have been made out of that. And you said something about like Chime. What was it? Chime meme?
Yeah, so if you search Chime meme on YouTube, I guess it's the furry community.
Yeah.
They took Rob Gasser's remix of that track, and I think somebody just made like a cute animation with like this like animal character just like bobbing along to it, and then it became like a huge thing.
It's
for
gone
some
viral
reason.
and yeah.
Yeah, and they just grabbed like the first word from the remix, which was my artist name, and called it Chime memes,
That's
and then
great.
everyone started making their own animations.
That's so good.
That's
I love that. I love like just
Yeah.
with the NCS music in general, like tapping into these communities all over the world is an amazing thing. We've spoke about that quite a lot earlier, especially with like your touring. You said when you went to Asia, and it's like when you went there, it's a community that you wouldn't think would tap into your music and has, and how you said that it's almost like your sound of this color base is like a massive niche. Do you know what I mean? That's how you sort of. It's a thing that loads of people follow, but if you're not staying up to date with it, you wouldn't know. What do you think it is for you about like being in this little corner of the world where there's people that are so damn passionate, but then if you walk next to Joe Blogs down the street, they maybe wouldn't even know that something exists like that.
Yeah. It's one of my
interesting
favorite
phenomenon.
things about the internet, really.
Yeah.
Is that you can have something that you think of as so utterly obscure that has a massive, hugely passionate following.
There's going to be a ruler community that like
Yeah.
rulers.
Oh my god! I bet there's a Reddit page, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, "You have
Yeah.
Stadler rulers."
This one's made from aluminium.
Yeah.
yeah, like yeah, I love that. That's the best. The more niche, the better, and the more people are passionate about it.
Yeah.
Like I am extremely into speedrunning. Speedrunning games.
Oh right, I thought you meant actual speedrunning.
No.
Right.
I've never.
Harvey actually walked
ran.
here to get the train.
I've never like done a speedrun of a game, but the ridiculous passion that people have in beating a game a certain way as quickly as possible is mind blowing.
The Mario ones are insane.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen like the custom Mario Maker level ones when they do like a speed run?
Yeah.
It's just like these people will like spend months, years, like pressing the button at the point zero zero zero, so that it gets the quickest jump off like the block. It's nuts.
And also, like, there's a whole community around finding new skips and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Finding ways to like a shortcut that you can cut off like a bunch of time, and they will obsess over, like, in some speedruns, cutting off a second is like a major deal.
Right.
Like, especially like I think the original Super Mario Brothers, I think they're down to like 3 minutes something.
The
And
entire game.
Yeah.
What?
And
bear in mind, there wouldn't be as much on it as they would on a Mario game today, but
Okay,
still,
right,
like,
right.
well, there's like the warp pipes, so you can just skip straight. You only play like 4 levels,
Right.
but they've got it down to like the human limit.
yeah, it's like only an AI will be able to do this.
Yeah. So there's a thing called a task, tool-assisted speedrun,
Okay.
which is where you kind of use electronic tools to like figure out the ultimate fastest way you could physically ever do
That's insane.
play a game. So, but the thing is, we've reached the human limit, but the task has things where you have to press left and right on the D-pad at the same time,
yeah.
which is physically impossible
Yeah, you can't do that.
on a controller.
But the little robot thing will do
But
that.
if you program those inputs, then it can do
That
it.
sounds like one of those controllers that you used to be able to get. I don't know. You probably can still get them.
Like
it
a
had like
turbo one.
another trigger.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Like, so you could
Scuff,
do like
Scuff controllers. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
Scuff gaming, right, with the like paddles on the back.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
in Call of
yeah.
Duty, and that would make you like slide and jump at the same time. which
Exactly.
just
Yeah, you could put
can't do.
macros on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I remember that.
But-
I would love that back in the day.
Just to bring it back, like that's what I love about the nicheness, is that that's usually where you'll find the most passion, I think, because it's kind of like you've got your cozy sort of group of people who are really into something,
Yeah.
and then the rest of the world is just out there.
And it's so nice. It's nice. I think it's nice in general to just feel like you belong to that little corner of the internet. It's brilliant. Should we listen to some of our releases?
Do our session.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to
Things
remind
we've
me
got
what
coming up.
releases they are. From...
Do you think there's ever going to be an occasion when we get on this podcast and Dan doesn't ask that question, Charlotte doesn't go, whatever's on the SoundCloud?
Well, are you doing
No, I'm talking about
upcoming or
the releases that have just come out.
releases? Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I thought it was in your calendar.
Oh, it is in my calendar.
Whilst
There
you're
you go,
browsing, we can chat a bit more anyway.
You got about
Sure.
10 seconds. So I'm.
Oh, you got them quickly.
Just-
Oh, you're on it.
So
Fair
it's
enough.
this week, right?
Yeah.
They know that it's. So we've just had Anna Yvette.
Oh yeah,
I
I think it's
running out of time.
self-produced as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Why can't I find it?
Oh. Is there any like NCS artists that you're looking to like try and work with? And it's well, actually outside of NCS, like just the color-based scene in general, people that the audience should keep their eyes and ears on.
Okay, they're two separate.
Two separate questions.
Yeah. I mean, I can.
There was a slash in the middle of that.
Yeah. Well, the second one is easy. Anyone we release music from on my label, Rushdown, that is like, I'm trying to take them and like push them up into the sky, like into the industry and stuff. So I couldn't possibly go through them all. But to
anyone
like,
there.
Well, okay, the three main dudes, Ace Aura, Skybreak, and Sharks. There's so many more though. Paper Skies, Dan's Demand.
Well, everyone
Pleague.
Keep their eyes on that label.
Yeah. Basically, just go through the roster and it'll be a good time. And what was the first question?
Anyone at NCS that you want to work with?
I guess Tokyo Machine.
Ooh,
I can hear that.
That would be cool. I feel like Arcade Dwellers, my most recent track with MDK on NCS, is definitely like in that realm.
it is.
It's the clash of that super heavy side with the really.
And it's also
side.
that gamey sound.
Yeah.
Game sound effects and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was quite a fan of that one because I mean it's in his realm, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be sweet.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll get a bit more onto that tune actually after this, but let's listen to what we've had.
So we've had Annie Bet, Running Out of Time.
Oh wow.
It's a sort of retro vibe, but wait for it. I'm gonna fast forward a bit. Bit of drum and bass.
Oh yeah.
It's giving me slight like Nero vibes actually with the vocal.
That's a very
You know what?
good shout. Yeah.
That's a great shout.
It's a really cool song. That is.
I
I love that sound in terms of music has come back. We spoke about that before. The like 80s very synth wave.
Yeah,
stuff. It's so good.
I think that's like 160 BPM or something. It's like slower drum. and bass.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then we've had Oblivion and Rail
Oh, nice.
with You.
I think
Really like it.
Oblivion's done some stuff on Monster Cat, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think you're the same team again.
Yeah.
The vocal on it.
Who sings on this one?
Rail.
Rail.
She is just unreal.
Yeah. Unrail. Real.
Fast forward a bit.
I'm a big fan of that.
One of those stompers.
Yeah.
Yes,
Really like that one.
I love songs that it sounds. This is gonna be a stupid comment. That I know exactly where to bob my head. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
dude, it's so great. It's great.
That's the trick in music production where you decide what has like the syncopation and the interesting
Yeah,
and stuff.
Good point.
And if you just keep like kicking the snare in exactly the same place, you can do whatever the hell you want in between.
Yeah.
And you'll always have like those beats to
That
lock
groove,
into.
yeah.
Then we had Neone, Haunted
I'm a
House.
massive fan of this song.
The intro.
That still gives me this rap vibe, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, we need like a grime artist on this.
Fast forward a bit.
Whoa.
That tune's sick.
Can you go back to that little piano bit?
Yeah, it was weird. Cool.
Oh,
Do you think they made that? That's
Is that a
really
piano?
nice.
sounds like a xylophone or something.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You
We'll
know-
have to ask them.
You know what I think it might be?
Don't tell me what it actually is.
Well, I don't know actually. It sounds like if you open a piano and you like run your finger across the strings because it has that piano sound,
the pluck. Yeah.
but it's more plucky.
I love how it's like a little bit like off key as well, like a bit broken.
Oh, it's like way off.
so good, man. That tune's really.
I love those tracks that have like really like fleshed out concepts behind them.
Yeah, it's
And
so
they're
true.
clearly going with like the haunted
Yeah.
vibe in
Yeah.
that. It's sweet. But it's like a pop song as well.
Well, that was it. It was
This is a big discussion we've had
it was weird for us because it was like, oh, what genre do we put this on?
Yeah.
And it's like it's pop, but it's
Halloween pop.
Yeah, it's classic.
New Ring.
Yeah.
and then we've had Digex Fall in Love, which came out yesterday. Whoops. Hey, you skipped too much.
Sounded good. That one bass. Did you preview this one on a
I did.
previous? Yeah, this is the one I was like, hell yeah.
See, this is where we leak all of the sounds of
Yeah.
NCS coming up.
That again, like we said this on a few of the releases recently. I do feel that, like, I don't know if it's the vocal or the production that dropped. There's a UK like angle to that sound. I don't know what it is, because it's not garage. It isn't garage, or if it's like the UK house scene. But there's something about these. I guess they're like sort of almost minimal drops with a very nice
It's
vocal
a bit of
over
swing
it.
in it.
Yeah.
It's a swingy type.
I don't know what. I don't know what you'd. How you.
Yeah, that's a very sort of UK thing, or
Yeah.
at least like this side of the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, sorry, I was just going to quickly play some upcoming tracks as well.
Go for it.
Some
Ooh.
exclusives. So this is Arcando in My Head feat Britt Lowry.
That vocal.
I'll fast forward a little bit. Again, I'll fast forward.
That's tight.
I really like.
There's that swing again. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a lot in your tracks of like similar to things there. Like, I don't know how you describe it. Like the like bitty sound where things like cut out and then come back in. What's
Yeah.
that? I mean, it's just chops, right? Just chopping things.
I call them complexes.
complexes.
Well, it's kind of from like complextro,
Okay.
complex
Yeah.
electro, where you would just throw all these different little bleeps and bloops in. But yeah, no, I really like those kind of. I've always been a fan of like glitches in
Yeah,
general.
that's how it is. It's like
As a concept, like in video games and stuff, but also, yeah, musically, you can fit so much into like a second.
yeah, that's what it is. And again, it's funny that that groove still stays, because you're saying you've got that kick and the snare hit him, and then in
Yeah.
between it you've got but it sounds it's great.
It's that like Cohen sound glitch hop
I
vibe
love
where
Cohen sound.
yeah, you've got really solid offbeat, so you've got like the
Yeah.
like that thing.
Yeah. All right, I've got two more. So this is Chime Mazel, Abstract, Perk Pietrek, Running Away.
It's very traffic.
Fast forward a little bit.
I feel like he's got a sound, Abstract. Like
Yeah,
with
for
with
sure.
the tune before you, like there's definitely, it is again, it's the it's like almost like falling off. Do you know what I mean? It's like the like I think that might be side chaining, right, where it
Yeah.
like kicks through. Yeah, he's got a really cool sound. I like that guy.
I like the sort of icy. That's the only way I can explain it. In the intro, that like that's very icy
yeah.
for me.
Icy.
Yeah, like snow levels in video games.
Ah,
have
yes,
these
yeah.
kind of like
Interesting.
whistly, icy sort of pluck
That like plucky
that
sound in the
feel
background.
like icicles like falling
That's
from
so cool.
a cave or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's this last one?
Last one is Milane and Greg Avon, Like You. What's the guess? What genre is it going to be? What's it going to sound like on the drop?
I think it'll be like a trappy drop.
You reckon?
Well, it's house tempo.
All right,
Lots
Charlotte.
there.
I know.
There you
Oh.
go.
Oh,
Yeah, it's gonna be bouncy house stuff.
oh, that's tight.
Oh,
That's really cool. Do you
That
have with your
organ
sound? That yeah, it's really cool. With your sound being like we said, that's the chime sound. Do you listen to other stuff, like listen to all them tracks there? Like obviously your reaction to them tells that you're probably consuming things outside of just that color based scene. But what other stuff are you into?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a lot of drum bass.
Yeah.
It's still like my foundation.
That's like Dan.
Yeah.
Love some drum and bass.
Yeah. A lot of like throwback stuff. I'll go back to like different eras.
Like Kelly Clarkson kind of throwbacks. You talking?
No.
Oh.
Electronic throwback.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I want to get more into that sort of garagey sound because what I've heard has been really cool.
Yeah.
Like that was sweet. There's a guy called Claybrook who he's been sending me some garagey bits that are really clean.
Yeah.
And just like there's something really satisfying about that form of production. Like I really like the gaps in between stuff, just allowing the beat to like continue before it like picks up with something else.
Yeah.
They're so like, even though the production is obviously super intense and it's really like specific to make that sound so accurate and clean, the minimalism of like a garage type sound, I just
think
love
we
it.
need to call it now. Garage is coming back.
It's back,
Like,
man.
yeah, like 6
we
months
spoke about
time,
it.
Garage is going to be big.
Yeah, it seriously is.
That thing with the gaps though, that's something I'm almost jealous of in the dubstep world because I think it's way harder to do that sort of thing in dubstep because really the rhythmic content is providing a lot of space for whatever the mid-range stuff is.
Okay.
So you've got a kick over here and then a fortnight later you've got snare.
Yeah.
Like and that's why it's ended up speeding up from like 140 to 150 BPM just so it has a bit more.
So there's not just a whole load of space.
Yeah, and also because there's a lot less syncopation, there's a lot less like groove going on, which was more what the like original form of dubstep was.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just have, a sort of modern dubstep beat going with nothing behind it.
Yeah, sure.
You can't just let it ride out very much
like
without sculpting
garage,
the entire track. Garage, you can have
30 seconds of just
exactly,
That's so interesting.
and so that's something I want to kind of try out. I think
Another alias. Just do it.
I don't need another alias.
Just do it on Chime.
Yeah.
What BPM would you say? Like, I mean, you've obviously just done like some drum and bass stuff not so long ago. Like, you don't seem to stick at like 135, 140. Like, where do you restrict yourself to? Any of that?
It's mostly 150, which is like current modern dubstep tempo. So, yeah, and mostly I'm sort of naturally more encouraged to write music at that tempo just because that's going to fit into most of the stuff I want to play out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already got like a wealth of tracks in 150. So it kind of just slots right in easily.
Right.
So say if I wanted to play out Arcade Dwellers, it's harder. It's way harder because you have to figure out a way of transitioning from one tempo to another. It's never going to be clean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there's ways you can make it clean, but so it's a bit more of a hassle.
Right.
So it's just easier for me to write in 150, and also that's generally what people want from me right now, and that's generally what goes well live, specifically in America.
Yeah. Well, yeah. On the live stuff, because in house, like we get a lot of music that we'll put out, and we generally put out the radio edit, but quite often there's an extended edit as well, where it's just the kick and the snare going. Do you get that in like color bass and dubstep? How does that stuff work?
Not really. I think dubstep can be like one of the hardest genres to mix, just because it doesn't have that rigid structure.
Yeah.
House really is kind of built with DJs in mind in a lot of cases. That's why you have like a full minute of just the beat at the beginning, because it's all about kind of sustaining a progressive flow. Yeah. Whereas dubstep is all about
switching it off,
and impactful like surprises as well. Mm-hmm. Like you wouldn't if you're like in the flow of like a house beat, you wouldn't necessarily want a massive switch up coming in. It's just a different vibe entirely. So yeah, not really. That's
super interesting.
Yeah, it's very different.
You spoke about on your Instagram quite a bit, and anyone that follows you, your artist project, will know that there's an album in the works, right? And I don't know how much you can give away, and feel free to share as much or as little as you can. But what can you tell us about that project and any secrets going on there?
Yeah, so I can say some of the things I've sort of already mentioned here and
sure.
there. It's very like story driven. I sort of thought, well, it's my debut album. It's a big old project. I don't want it to feel like it's just a big EP.
Yeah, sure.
I want to take this opportunity, instead of just having a big collection of singles, to really like tie them together, and for all of the different tracks to have kind of a specific purpose in the story. It draws a lot from video games, because that's always been my biggest musical influence. But also, like, when I was a kid, video games was like my form of escapism with like everything. And I was like, it was much easier for me to invest myself in a video game virtual world than it was even in my real life.
Yeah.
My real life, especially in the UK, you look outside and you're like, why?
But then you turn your head to a super bright screen.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I was never forced on real life at that point. And so like a lot of my sort of childhood into teenagehood was really like just getting engrossed in these games and stuff. And I don't know. School was a horrible nightmare for me. So like,
Yes, I'm a.
yeah. It's I feel like a lot of people in the music industry, it was like the same. But so that's really the idea of the album, is exploring, hey, if I had it my way, and I do because I'm writing the album, what world would I create?
Brilliant.
Nice.
What journey would I go on? How can I reference points in my own life? How can I make this sort of showcase of what I'm like as a person? And so each of the tracks sort of represent an area that you would find in a video game, but also a part of my life, and also a bunch of other concepts layered in there as well. And also has a context in the wider story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all very vague.
Really curious to
No,
hear
that's
that.
super.
But-
You're great with brand. Like,
Yeah.
you tie everything together. I think
I try to.
it's
Thank you.
amazing. Honestly, like the way that you just explained that was so on brand with
You can
who
see
I
it,
think
yeah.
Chime is.
Yeah.
No, that's really
It's
really cool.
it's for me, it's a constant quest to figuring out how to be the most myself, which has always been difficult for me.
Yeah.
Because like throughout school, I was really impressionable, and any criticisms of me I would take immediately to heart, and I would just try and like conform and fit in as much as possible, masking really. And like I think there's a lot about being a guy as well that fits into that, and lots of pressures to be into football and stuff.
True.
So like and I was always like secretly so against that, and so against like trying to just be put in a box. And now that I've like gotten past a lot of that stuff, and I have a musical project that I can express all this stuff with, I'm just like, I'm not going to be scared of actually being myself properly in my music, because that's what it's for.
And that's what people want to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really
The reason why people love Porter Robinson, especially more now than like originally, is because he's completely opened the floodgates to who he is. He's most inner, deepest.
Spitfire versus his current stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Worlds apart. So that's kind of what I want to do. There's been a lot of tracks I've put out that have been like, oh, it's kind of a fun dubstep tune, and I don't want to do that on an album. I think I'm at a really good point to start getting really layered and sort of much deeper and stuff.
I think you tweeted it, which comes back into how you're saying drawing from moments in your life and this video game concept, and each of them sort of being, each of the tracks on this project being that callback to earlier experiences. I think you tweeted something along the lines of like the tracks having influences from songs that you've already brought out and things that have been released, and like productions that you've done in the past. When you're actually starting producing a song, is there a lot of that for you of being like, okay, let's look at things that I've already done. Let's look at songs that I've loved back in the day, or is it just whatever you're feeling in the moment?
A bit of both, really.
Yeah.
So I really like having a feeling of some form of consistency with my project.
Yeah.
And I've not always been consistent at all. You know, like something like Arcade Dwellers is so different to even something like Lifelong, saying it's like also released on NCS. So, but I do like having a connecting thread. I've never loved it when suddenly an artist is like a different person suddenly. Like there's something about it that doesn't feel fully authentic.
It just comes
but
back
the
to
thing
that
is,
authenticity,
coming back to Port Robinson, he wasn't being authentic originally, but now he is. So I always kind of have to like bear that in mind, that maybe this is them actually now finally being themselves. So we trailed off a little there. What was
no, I think it's just the fact, and I think you've touched on it perfectly there, especially with like how you say you're constructing this album, is that almost that spine of what Chime is at its core, and being able to draw from things in your past, productions you've already done, and just whilst there's still a complete different shift in sound between your tracks, having that, like, whether it is just the core message or a core little part of your production that you stick in is an interesting thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I listen back to my discography a lot.
Oh, really?
And I think some people just don't.
Yeah.
They just make the track and then they never want to hear it ever again. But I'm interested. It's almost like researching who I am.
Yeah.
Like going, well, what was I interested in? Where was I coming from there? And it's interesting listening back to old stuff, because there's like a childlike sort of wonder and stuff that I can only capture by going back to that sort of period and that sound. So I've literally taken like old releases of mine that came out way, way, way back, like before I was Chime, and reworked them just to capture the feeling and that sort of like place I was in at that point. And then reworked them so they're, completely brand new, basically.
Super cool. Well, I mean, that's a very exciting thing to look forward to. I can't wait to hear what's going to come from that. Let's get on to our questions. Charlotte, do you want to... Hello.
Hi.
I feel like that. There's been a few occasions usually where I get to throw to you, but I haven't today.
I feel like when
Sorry.
we've got a guest, it's, I'm not as needed.
That's fine. Do you want to do the little question, or do you want me to set it up?
Sure, go on.
Just so you've got something. So you got something to
Just
say.
remember what it was. Hold on. Okay.
Gotta remember my answers.
What NCS track would you listen to backstage getting ready for your performance?
So to hype yourself
on
up.
a festival or something.
On a festival.
And there's been a few moments where you've been backstage. Do you listen to music before you perform, really?
No,
I guess that would throw you off, maybe.
Usually too loud.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because you're usually like right behind the stage, and all you can hear is
to be fair,
and everything shakes. So it's not really
that's fine. That's
possibility.
Fine. But do we have answers? Charlotte, have you got an answer ready this time? The last few weeks you've been very off with it.
Let's go someone else.
Okay,
I
Daniel.
need to just understand the vibe.
So you want to get yourself hyped up and ready to go is what you want to do. You sort of, it's like almost like the boxing one that we did on one of the first episodes. It's that.
This is a tough one, because most of the stuff I really enjoy on NCS is more chill.
Okay.
And especially coming from like the dubstep background.
Yeah.
I'm used to the heavy side of things, so I come to NCS when I want to like calm down. But yeah, there's some good ones. Like I think recently Slash by Tokyo Machine is exactly that sort of like getting pumped up vibe.
All right,
play it and let's see what the verdict is.
I got it up already.
It's quick.
So would you play the intro as well? Like this is the
I
whole
think you've
thing?
got it right. You've got to get that.
I guess so.
Full feeling.
If you were playing a Halloween set, maybe.
Yeah.
I think this song has got the most play on the podcast.
That's it.
This is the third time we played this song.
He's done a couple of Halloween tunes, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean this
would get you in the zone. And then you run out onto stage, but it's just playing in your head. That's not the song that's on. That's cool.
Yeah, that's what I attribute to like getting pumped up.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of like stompy, like
Like I can go off the back of that with something that I think has a similar sort of energy, which is Ramesses B, Hardwired.
Oh, you've picked this before.
Have I?
For sure.
Did
But I'm
I?
going to play it anyway.
Oh, okay.
Great
Apologies,
track.
Apologies.
I think he's from Leeds, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like
I
that.
al-
Yeah.
Being in the Leeds scene, which is barely anything.
Yeah.
I always heard, oh, Ramesses B is right.
Ah.
Oh
This-
god, yeah, this is the hard
Song's
Yeah.
styling.
so intense.
I mean, that image as well.
Hardwired.
Jeez.
Oh,
I just think I might be too energetic actually after listening to that. Like if I was doing a set that was at a lower BPM than that song, I would just be struggling to come down from that or low that much energy that song has.
you know what that one reminds me of? The kind of music that would be on old Newgrounds Flash games,
True.
like fighting
Yes.
games.
Oh yeah.
There was an artist on Newgrounds called Paragon X9 that made like that like crazy trancey
Right.
drum and bass, and also like stuff like that. And that's just like
It just
I
intense,
actually went
isn't it?
back and like listened to all this stuff, and I was like, hell yeah, 2008.
This
me
is it.
going, yeah, I'm playing a Flash game.
I remember I used to play Gran Turismo, and there was some tracks in Gran Turismo that's what got me into drum and bass.
Oh really?
I think
Yeah.
it's Camo and Crooked.
It'll be Awful
That-
Man.
No, way back. Like,
Oh, even further back.
I can't even remember it, but it was a great
Is it
track.
drum and bass? Oh yeah, it would have been drum.
I
and
think it was
bass,
Climax. Climax
Oh,
was the
yeah,
one.
yeah.
yeah.
What song are you listening to backstage? To get your
So
work done?
yeah, so I'm gonna play a drum and bass / drum step set.
Okay.
So this is what I'm gonna play.
So you've given yourself context, which isn't really fair, but sure.
Yeah.
I'll fast forward a bit.
What song is this?
Dead of Night VIP remix by If Found.
I love that track.
Oh, the silence.
That's it. Is
That's
the
sweet,
silence is so in a drop. You're right. The gaps, those little tiny gaps,
Yeah.
are so
It's-
effective.
It's effective because a lot of people when they start producing, they're like, I want to make something 100%
Feel
energy,
everything everywhere.
and they just have like a wall of sound.
Mm.
But the thing is, if you have nothing to compare it to, then it doesn't feel big. You know, it can feel big for a while, but your energy levels start dipping.
yeah, of course.
If you have those silent moments, you go way back down to 0 and then all the way back
More
up to
impact.
100.
Yeah.
And it like refreshes your energy
Of
for the
course.
track. Yeah, that's
Oh,
sweet, that
see,
one.
Charlotte's
Yeah.
still
See,
scrolling.
I'm stressed.
I could
Oh
hear
my
you playing the
goodness.
tracks
I'm
then.
I'm not playing anything.
You, this
I'm
is
not
the
playing.
third
Okay,
week
alright, well-
in the
I
row
know.
What track?
that
Give
you
us a
haven't been
track.
prepared.
Any
You
track.
I will give you.
you've just got to pick one. I'm giving you 10 seconds.
Power, more plastic.
Oh, you know what? That's really not a bad shout.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'd probably pick a different, more plastic one.
Don't you do this as well? She doesn't come prepared, and then you give her the hand me out. Just let her have the one she said.
This is the one she's having. Power.
I think you haven't been prepared. You've thought, what's a good word that describes how to get hyped, and you've gone power. Although,
Oh, I think it's great.
Well, I mean, this is the verse.
I mean-
this isn't even the drop.
what?
Fast forward a little bit.
More silence.
He knew. That's great.
Sick.
Well, I will say, even though definitely a last minute scroll from Charlotte, good choice.
Very good.
I think there's good competition there. All of those 4 tracks would get you very hyped. So yeah, community tab section to get your votes in on who you think had the
Oh.
best choice.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we
Oh,
get
I
you
didn't
get a
know we were
winner.
This is a
You
You
vote
get a winner.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Right.
competition. It's serious. I mentioned it quite a bit already. Arcade Dwellers with MDK, which has been your most recent release on NCS. Just want to quickly loop back to that one super quick. How did that track come about?
Yeah, MDK hit me up, and I was kind of slightly aware of him from his track with Temanite, who's a good friend of mine.
Mhm.
And then I was like looking up his stuff. I was like, bloody hell, he's got a following, hasn't he? Yeah, and obviously he's like deep into the sort of video game tropes and stuff in his music as well. So it kind of made a lot of sense. And it had been 5 years since I'd put out an electro house track. Like, yeah. And he sent me an idea. I was like, yeah, go on, I'll give it a go. So yeah, that was kind of the starting point. Was just kind of like, after doing dubstep track after dubstep track, sometimes it's nice to just dip into something else. And also, sometimes it's nice when you're working on lots of like serious stuff to like dip into something that's
track.
just
Yeah,
fun.
of course.
Yeah. So that was kind of the idea behind, starting that collab and stuff. Really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it fell into place, and that energy of it is definitely that the happy with all the gamified sounds and stuff is really cool. To wind things up, because it's been an amazing chat. Pleasure having you on, bro. What does the next year look like for Chime, and what are the plans for the future?
Well, this year is a big one. There's a lot of things being rebooked from 2020. So the entire co-headline tour with AU5 that was going to be happening literally starting April 2020.
Wow.
Is coming back, and that's going to start at the end of the month.
Where is that? Is that US tour?
Yeah, US and US. Yeah, for now. But yeah, I think it's like 28 dates. It's biggest tour I've ever done.
That'd be amazing.
And with AU5, it's the perfect fit. I was staying with him and his roommate, I guess housemate, Prismatic, and there's some other producers in that house as well. But we were just hanging out, and he mentioned that he'd signed up with AB Touring, Alex Balash, which is my agent. I was like, dude, I've been looking for someone to do a co-headline tour with. That would be the sickest thing. And he was like, yeah. And it was really satisfying. And like, I remember actually like going to my management, and they were like, I don't know about that. And I was like, shut up.
It's happening.
Yeah, so I'm really happy that that's actually coming up.
Awesome.
And I think that the start of this tour, I have 5 dates in a row.
Oh,
so
every day.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I think it's like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Jeez. Which is going to be brutal.
Wow.
All in different locations.
But what a way to kick it off.
I know, yeah. It's the baptism of fire.
Serious.
And then like I have a day off, and then I've got like another show. It's mental. So yeah, really looking forward to that. I've got Rampage in a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
Back-to-back Olivers and Frankie Nuts, which is going to be good because I haven't played in Europe for ages. And it's Rampage, which is massive. Yeah, and then from there, like it's going to be sort of album writing and stuff, keeping up with sort of new releases on Rushdown, just keeping going with new bits and pieces, really.
Lovely.
Amazing. Well, best of luck with the performances in that album, and like I said, just absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you for chatting.
Legend.
Great to be here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in, watching, listening, however you're consuming the content. We appreciate it.
With video on Spotify now.
Oh yeah, if you're on Spotify now,
Wait, what?
Yeah, you can get video podcasts on Spotify.
No.
If you're on Spotify now, it might not show up, but just tilt your phone and you might see our beautiful faces.
What?
Yeah. Thank
How's
you
it
guys.
going?
Yeah. Hello. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next time on Full Circle. Peace.
Ciao.